Hello, everyone. So, one of the one of the critical thinking tools that I'm going to relate to you is the six thinking hats. And let me go through them very quickly. So, six thinking hats. This was developed by a guy named Edward de Bono, and he's developed this back in the 80s or 1990s ata. Basta it's been around for a while, and a lot of organizations and companies use this six thinking hats as a critical thinking decision making process as well. Now, how does the six thinking hats work? Essentially, the way it works is imagine there are six hats, each having a different color. And depending on the hat that you wear, you're supposed to think in a certain manner. So here are the six colors of the hats, what they represent, and what you should be doing when you're wearing each of those particular hats. All right. So the first hat is the white hat. The white hat, when you wear it, you're supposed to focus on objectivity, fact finding. So you wear the white hat if you want to focus on facts and figures. Let's say, for example, we have a typhoon relief as an example. Chances are there might be people who will suffer from typhoons, from storms, so they might need typhoon relief. So if you wear the white hat, you will ask, for example, magkano yung budget natin? How many target families? How far away are they from relief centers? So you're looking at facts and figures. That's the white hat. Then we have on the next slide, the red hat. The red hat, you wear it if you want to focus on passion, intuition, and emotions. So read the problem through gut reaction, intuition, emotion. You might ask questions like, how might they be feeling? So if you're a victim of the typhoon, what must you be going through emotionally? So in your intuition, this might tell you some of these families might also have young babies or young children who need the formula or milk. Um, so you will consider that as part of your relief operation. Part of that consideration that there might be babies and young children who need milk. So your gut instinct might also say, might also tell you na how might people react if they see a group of people approaching. Will they suddenly swarm us? Will they cooperate and follow a process? So these are the kinds of questions that you might want to consider. Next, we have the black hat. Black hat, you wear it if you want to focus on caution, pessimism, worst case scenario. So you're wearing the black hat if you want to be vigilant and consider the negative sides of an issue, problem, or event. So for example, in relief goods, what's the worst thing that can happen? What are the potential dangers that we need to take note of? What might be some potential problems or issues that you might encounter? For example, in the typhoon relief, that situation that we had earlier on, if the LGUs, for example, uncooperative, or the location we have to get to requires specialized vehicles or specialized skills. What if in the process to go to a location we get lost or whatever? So black hat, worst case scenario. Next, we have the yellow hat, which is the opposite of black hat. So yellow hat represents optimism, to think positively, consider the benefits of the circumstances. So what possible benefits do we have here? We're potentially saving lives by doing these typhoon relief operations. We'll be helping people rebuild. We'll be helping people get through this and rebuild their lives, and so on and so forth, all for optimism and hope. Now we have the next hat, we have the green hat. Green hat is for creativity and inventiveness. So you wear the green hat if you want to be creative and invent new approaches. So you might say, what are some things that we haven't tried yet when it comes to relief operations? Maybe we shouldn't just give them goods. Perhaps we should teach them how to be resilient, or we need to teach them how to be better prepared for future floods. They say give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, he'll be fed forever. And given that floods will come for the foreseeable future, perhaps rather than giving them short term relief, let's think long term and teach them how to be better prepared for the next day. Or perhaps we can partner with a LGU. Or perhaps the money that we'll spend here might be better spent putting up flood barriers or purchasing equipment that has more long-term value. Okay, so that's the green hat. Next one, we have the blue hat. Blue hat, you wear it if you want to look at viewpoints, if you want to synthesize information. So it's about process. Okay, so for example, you wear the blue hat if you want to ask questions like, so there are 10 areas that need relief goods. What process will we follow to determine our prioritization? What process or framework or decision-making process will we follow to determine which of these things will be the priority that we will support? Will it be voting lang ba? Gagawa ba tayo ng weighted criteria? Do we hire an expert to help us out? So that's the thinking process. How do we organize? So once again, next slide, please. Okay, here are the 6 thinking hats. Once again, white hat is about data, facts, figures, objectivity. Red hat, it's about emotions, intuition as well. Black hat, it's about pessimism, caution, potential problems, and threats. Yellow hat, it's about optimism, positivity. What benefits will we get? Green hat, it's creativity, inventiveness, innovation, thinking outside the box. And then we have the blue hat for process, decision making process. How do we synthesize data? How do we organize our data? And so on and so forth. So how do we use them in practice? Okay, so some people would think you pre-assign the task. The hats. So for example, we're in a meeting. Okay. Timothy, you wear a red hat, ha? Ikaw, Joseph, you wear yellow. Ikaw, Ray, you wear black hat. Well, that's not how we should use the 6 hats. What happens is, as we go through our discussion, anybody can wear any of the hats. So all 6 hats are available. So ideally, in the process, the best way to use the hat is you announce the hat that you're going to wear. And then you make your statement or ask your question. So for example, let's say the meeting starts. Timothy starts saying, okay, how do we decide how we prioritize which community we will support? Joseph says, okay, I'm gonna wear a white hat. Let's look at the data. Let's look at where the typhoon hit locations are, how many families are affected. And then here comes Ray, wearing the blue hat. Says, gawa po tayo ng table. Let's put there the location, number of affected people, which LGU is in charge for each of the affected areas, para we can have in one glance, we can see which one is needed. And then Brian comes here and says, wearing the black hat. He says, can we add to the table potential dangers and threats for each of those locations as well? Kasi tingin ko that will also affect how we make decisions, and so on and so forth. So that's how we use the hats. So in addition to that, while people are announcing, and perhaps this is the also an important part, there should be someone who's keeping track of which hats are being used. So for example, Timothy started in blue hat and then someone did white hat and so on. And then from time to time, you need to pause and check with that person, kamusta yung paggamit ng hats natin? Parang wala pang nag-yellow hat. Now, there's the value of the 6 thinking hats that comes in, because the 6 thinking hats, they represent 6 different points of view and perspectives. If we don't use one particular hat, that means we're not using that hat's point of view. We're missing out on something. Or for example, we're overusing one hat. Baka we're biased to that point. So are being too reliant on gut feelings, we need to balance it out. So for example, so that's how the six thinking hats work. No, you tell the group which hat you're gonna wear, and then you make your statement or question, and then you need to keep track of how often the hats are being used. Are you overusing one? Are you underusing one? And then you adjust depending on the results. You might ask, okay, so how do we do it if you're deciding on, or if we are thinking about some decision individually as a person? The short answer is you can do six thinking hats on yourself. So it's not always a group activity, no? Another question you might ask is, so how do we know that we've had enough information, and how will we know that we make a decision? So that's a blue hat problem. Blue hat question will be, how will we know we've had the information already, and how will we make a decision? Here, anyone can wear a blue hat, all right? So let's also remember that we're all trying to solve a problem. So on that note, the group has to work together as well. Another example that you could also consider is, for example, we have this statement: is Timothy a good employee? And the data that we have is Timothy is a perfectionist. Okay, somebody will wear the blue hat and says, all right, let's list down all of Timothy's qualities. So that's process. Okay. And then somebody says, wearing the white hat, all right, let's look at the data. And then somebody comes with a black hat, says, Timothy is a perfectionist. He takes too long to submit things because he wants to make sure everything is perfect. That's a black hat. Then there's the yellow hat. Timothy is a perfectionist. Everything he submits, there's nothing wrong with it. And then the red hat will say, Timothy is a perfectionist. People get annoyed by him because he keeps asking people to submit perfect reports also. And then you have an example, the green hat one. The green hat one will say, yeah, but perhaps we can try to innovate. Because Timothy is such a perfectionist, perhaps we can leverage on that by having each employee um, or person watch his process, making sure all his work is perfect. So that can be beneficial to the team because accuracy is important. So really, one bit of information can fall into different hats depending on how you use that data. Yes, six thinking hats can be a challenge, but this tool is actually giving us some structure as well. And the essence of this is also there's a lot of trust and respect in the discussions. And while these are great tools, group dynamic is also important in how to carry this forward. You know, it's like manage your decisions, because seeing there's different facets of data points, it actually opens up so many things. And we are, as we go through the process, we're already weighing the pros and cons that would help us decide individually or as a team. All right. And there you have it, darling friends. We'll stop here for now and see you in my next video. And if you enjoyed this one and you'd like to see similar ones in the video in the future, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to my YouTube channel down below, and hit the notification bell as well so that you don't miss out on more learning videos. Thank you so much, and bye for now.